welcome everyone. So, sorry for that delay. I forgot that I actually had to go live and not just start the broadcast. So, here we are in an education stream. So, today is kind of a special form of education because we are taking a deep dive into a book. And this book is one of my favorites because it is the one that more or less helped me a lot with my vision, and it's specifically about education, and it's one of the only systems in education was like, oh wow, that's actually very well thought of, and this probably works. And like, I guess it does work because there are like countless studies and tries to more or less test this out. So yes, we're gonna take a look at that and really dive into that more deeply and more or less think about the way of like maybe having to restructure some of that, and that will be part of that. But essentially it is just book club and revisiting the insights. So for me it will be something revisiting. If you haven't read the book, you can see this as an introduction and maybe as a short summary of me just curating the whole content, and with that you can decide whether you want to read it your own or by yourself essentially, or if you just say, oh, this was like a nice insight, but I basically got the most value out of just like listening and watching through the notes that I curated. So when we go to my overall books, so these are the ones that I still have in plan and in store. And last time we did moonshots here, and unfortunately there was a bit of an issue because I'm still trying out this whole concept on how to stream properly and figure out some tweaks. And with moonshots I tried out streaming with the Mac, and there I found that it's not a good idea to hook up 2 additional monitors to the Mac while also like doing something on that, and it seems to just like run into some sort of a bottleneck. So now I just decided, okay, let's start from the other side and go around that. So essentially you can think of the next 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 books are already more or less covered through that. And yeah, I think without further introduction, we can go into prepared. And this is essentially my way of summarizing it. We have here the type, the status, the area, the sub-area. So this is education, as I mentioned before. Then the score, the year I read it. So it's good 2 years ago. Actually, I don't need the favorite because I have the score. So let me just hide this. And then the author. And before I get started, I actually want to just quickly check into the stream that everything is alright and you hear me and everything, because last week on the gaming stream I had a bit of an issue with the frame rate. So again, still trying to figure out the tweaks. So I want to see whether this is done better now. So in the meantime, you can already take a look at the rough topics that we'll go over and enjoy that beautiful music in the background. Right, and I am back. So we can continue with the actual going through the book, right? So let's get started. And in a way, these are things that I wanted to do anyways, and then I figured might as well do this on the stream, because this way you can also see how I'm working and how I'm approaching the kind of concept. And this is also, since I read this book 2 years ago, this is how I more or less took notes 2 years ago. And I still think I copied this from another place. So some of my initial notes were lost. So usually when I read a book, I take some notes and then I structure the notes and then I summarize the notes. Or at that time, partly this was also done by my virtual assistant Isa, who was helping me out with the structuring and summarizing after I had given her a template. So this is essentially the end product, and usually it looks a little bit, what's my current book? I'm currently reading the book Building a Second Brain. So when we take a look at this, it looks similar, but essentially I have the notes up here, then the structure, and then the summary. And what we're looking at here is just the summary. So that's kind of the differences. If we were to also make this big, you see here foundation, method, and shift is the overarching topics, and here I already have broken these down. So why prepare, how to prepare, and what is prepared. I would probably have broken down even further, but essentially what it comes down to is we have this hierarchy of blue, and you see this quite nicely, blue and red. And when we look in the holistic pyramid, so for example, you see there's some red outlining around, and that means that this is a sync block, and it's also in a bunch of other pages within Notion. So now we look at the holistic pyramid, and as you see, here is the purple even around that, and it's under educational values. And then here we have the summit schools. And then I can open up this thing, and actually, good that I noticed, this is still the old way of doing that, and I haven't come to fix these, because this should be a red background. But as you see, this is also here red background. So this is what I mean with the two-way sync. When I change something here, it also changes here, and also in all the other pages that I've connected to. And by the way, this is both accessible to everyone, and I'm actually gonna share the link for this summary in the chat, so you could follow along. And and you can just check that out in your own time, because I'm not sure if I go into every little bit of detail. So if you wanted, you could kind of dive in yourself. So the book more or less starts on okay, why should we even prepare? And then starts off with a general explanation on the summit schools. So the summit schools is essentially this teacher, Diane Tavener, who is also the author of the book, who started her own school system in the States. And her goal was to get every student prepared for college. So everyone would be accepted to one college or another. And this was not the case before. I'm not sure about the actual statistics, but it was quite low, a 60% acceptance rate for average high school people. And she wanted to be okay, everyone has at least the possibility of going to college. They don't have to, obviously, but they would have the possibility, and they would be prepared for life. And this is something that I truly respect. Oh, that's that's a good thing. And I initially discovered this book as a recommendation from Bill Gates, because this was one of the books. I think every year he comes up with 5 books that he's okay, these were my favorite of the year, and this is how I discovered that. So he or she more or less has these questions, like, is Summit School the school that I wish I had attended? Is it the school where I want to teach? And is it the school where I want to send my own children? And by the way, I also use this as a way to run Grammarly over other things and just make things a little bit neater. So that's why I'll be correcting a few things here and there. And then we have a little note block here. Habits of success, curiosity-driven knowledge, universal skills, and concrete next steps are the measurable outcomes that matter most if we want to prepare our kids to be prepared for a good life. And that is basically the whole book more or less summarized. So she talks about these things now more in detail. And one of her concepts is the personalized learning plan. And with that, she built a school that values and supports all children because, well, it's a personalized learning plan. Therefore, every student is not just being like, okay, here's the curriculum and everyone has to follow it, but every student is getting like direct support. And then we also have a link here, which I linked to the Summit schools. And this is kind of their website, and they talk about more of these things. And we see where they already started the school, so mostly in California and Washington. And as you see at the moment, they have an acceptance rate of 96% for colleges, which is like twice the national average, which is pretty impressive, to be honest. And here is the next step, because we go from the blue toggle into the red toggle. So red is the lowest hierarchy, so it doesn't go like below red. When you add red, you know it's like, okay, this is the last stop, because some of these are really rabbit holes that you can lose yourself. So it's nice to see at what point am I like at the purple level, at the blue level, or all the way at the nitty-gritty details, the red. And also something important, when you look up the page, it's gonna look like this, and this is the default light version of Notion, which I personally don't enjoy as much. I think it's like way too bright, and generally I prefer more darker themed websites. So you can simply shift this back to black by holding Command Shift and L, or Control Shift and L on Windows. Actually, I'm on Windows right now. So yes, it's Command or Control Shift plus L. And with that, you can change the color, even if you're just like looking at it. And by the way, you don't have to sign up to anything. You can just straight up look at my sources here. So here she more or less goes over why graduation. And I'm not gonna like explain the book. I'm just like gonna start more or less working now and read out the things more or less. And think, it's like, okay, is there a better way on saying that? And is this clear? And is this necessary? Because here I only want the most crucial information to live. And otherwise, here you see there is like a lot more text here. So I still have to go through that, structure it. I guess it's already structured. Maybe I restructure some of these things, and then I summarize it even further. So this is already the summary, and that means here is only the essence of the content that I want to consume. So here, because graduation should mean more. Graduation should be similar to a wedding. Individual students are presented, mentors, guardians are present, students want to help themselves. The industrial economy is over the global economy. I don't know how this is related. So let's leave that. So 1950 employees wanted ability to work rapidly for long periods, memory for detailed instruction, arithmetic computation. This does not need to be highlighted. 2020 employees want complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, people management, coordinating with others, emotional intelligence. Yes, that makes sense. But I feel like this has nothing to do with graduation should mean more, and I feel like this is a little bit too wasted. Down here, I think I'm just gonna move it there. Yeah, that looks good. So now the question is, now this looks a little bit too small to justify it being a personal, like a separate toggle. Build a school that values supports all children. And then we could say this, and this looks cleaner, let's say. Not super happy with that. I think that's okay. Yeah, that works. Okay, so now moving on how to prepare. So this is more or less the introduction. So, you can also argue that I'm like essentially removing all the fluff and the stories out of the book to really boil down to the important things, which makes this less enjoyable. But if you just want the content without the fluff, so usually a book includes a lot of stories and anecdotes to make the reading experience a little bit more pleasant and enjoyable and also relatable. But since I've already gone through that, I don't really need it anymore, and I just want to say, okay, this is a good book, I realize its value, now how can I extract the value out of the stories? And this is what I'm doing here. So I hope it is not too dry, me going through that, but essentially this is what I feel like doing with the book club. And if you have any questions, you can always ask them in the comments. I understand that considering this is more or less me starting with streaming, there won't be a lot of people watching this live, but you can also comment now, and then I will be able to reply to the comment like a few days later as well. So in that way, commenting still works as traditionally. And if you have any questions or suggestions, you can just leave a comment, and I will probably just actually take these in consideration and edit something within the notes here, because I want them to be the best possible thing, because essentially this is the backbone that I use, not specifically this book, but like the notes and structures and distilled information that I use to create all my content and to base all my decision upon that. So this is essentially my playbook. My holistic pyramid is the playbook that allows me to draw from multiple content sources that I've consumed, and it essentially acts as my second brain that allows me to pull all the resources together and then create new content out of that, remixing and creating new connections that were not connected before. And this is kind of where the value lies. So this is essentially the behind the scenes of all of that. So let's move on how to prepare. The real project and project-based learning, speaking of. This is the first time I learned about project-based learning. I was like, this is genius, and now I'm just I'm just stunned if people don't know what it is. But like before I haven't read the book, I didn't know either. Like learning through projects is so much more impactful than anything before. So here we have the project Speaking Out. Choose how to use your voice to make a change in the community, research the topic, become subject area experts, develop and give persuasive speech, and convince other people. This does not need to be bold. So here we have Speaking Out. So essentially they choose a topic they're interested, present it, and then try to convince the people. So this is more or less a passion project that they get to pitch to other people and then get feedback on. So lectures are replaced with deep discussions, planning, research, model making, writing, and critical thinking. I feel like this should be above this, because here we have different projects. And then we have the project of SimCity. How do we design a sustainable city? What kinds of decisions do people, companies, and governments have to make regarding the use of natural resources, pollution, and waste management? How does the cost-benefit analysis influence these decisions? So the Speaking Out project is when they're starting high school, and then the SimCity is the one when they end high school. And you see, this is much more complex, and they also have to work with other people together, and everyone is an expert in different area. And together, like I think 3 to 5 students create a simulated city. So kind of from The Sims, they design their own city and try to make it as sustainable as possible. So here we have the Passion Project and then SimCity. So we can growth errors, result of 4 years of real-world workout. So SimCity, we can just move this here, and then we can move this here, and we can change these into bullet points, and now it looks more so. And instead of, yeah, let's call it Passion Project. Passion Project instead of Speaking Out. There we go. Pictures and projects. Examples. Example projects. No, I just call it projects. I'm used to the Mac on how I can like use shortcuts here, but that's okay. So we have the project results of 4 years of real world workout. I think this should be above that though. So project-based learning, focus on the real world every day. Projects begin with a question, problem, or challenge. The project gives them a connection to their life. A teaching method in which students gain knowledge and skills by working for a certain period of time. I think that's okay. So I'm not blindly doing everything that Grammarly does. It's like, no, that works. Investigate and respond to an authentic, engaging, complex question, problem, or challenge. I think this is where we can put the projects underneath. And then we have here the results of for your. I don't think it's necessary, but let's make these like that. So improve retention and understanding, stronger problem solving, better critical thinking, care more equals more engagement, satisfied teachers. I find this not as relevant. Also, this looks nice enough. I don't like this above here. How about that? Does that work? Yeah, that looks nice. So this is something that you did before, but we don't need that. So like with every iteration cycle, I improve these, and because these are my my highest ranking scores, I decided to go over them again because I felt like they deserve the additional attention and care of me going over that. And also you get to again see how I'm working and how I'm like breaking things down, which I thought would be like something of value to you. So now we have obstacles. Textbooks are accountability and nostalgia. It's not easy to design a project that cuts across subject areas. Is academic rigorous, engaging, speaks to what students need to learn, satisfies state standards. The underlying goal of projects is to help kids be better prepared for the kids. I think we're gonna do it like that. Real world learning real life. It's not easy. The underlying goal of Quarius is to help kids better improve lifelong learning. Things like de-escalation, understanding of focus, individual skills, one's skills, strengths, working as a group to achieve goal, learning to breathe, requesting feedback and contributing to community. Employees are looking for kids who grew up to be also steps they need to take next. Everyone wins when kids become adults who know how to work with their partner to share responsibilities and get it all done. Our communities need adults who, when they encounter a complex moral issue, have the decision-making skills to contemplate both sides, apply different reasoning, different types of reasoning and question assumptions. Yes, I like this. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Okay, let's do it like that. Move on to self-direction. The fallacy of sink or swim. When do we give kids independence and how do they learn what to do with it? Teaching versus learning. Is there always something like that? Because otherwise it's like, oh, here it's one, here it's not. Usually I just like do correct the common mistakes without thinking. Describe schools, how a community full of individuals with different long-term goals and paths. And describe a school, how we... What? Wait, let's not get to that now. Teaching versus learning. For the mass majority of students, for most students, I don't know why he kind of doesn't let me do that directly. For most students, learning from lectures and textbooks is not only boring but ineffective. Yes! It's boring and ineffective. I'm really simplifying things. We also know what they learn will stay with you longer if it's presented in a familiar framework and applied to a real life problem. Yes, that's very important. Grades offer little in the way of objectivity, as 2/3 of teachers acknowledge their grading reflects progress, effort, and participation in class. Building on the work of others. So this is the... Why is that the difference between teaching and learning? Okay, let's just continue and then kind of think about if we need to restructure that. Building on the work of others. Daniel Pink's best-selling Drive was one of the books that masters when you become good at something. The reason that is effective. Work has shown that deliberate practice in the art of students' development and training is self-direction can be learned. Okay. I don't think this is necessary. Setting goals, smart. Yes, as they click done, the gold and green, Behaviors often. I don't like this because this is technically under goal setting and like I try not to include things that are mentioned twice. Reinforce 5 power behaviors often day. I like this though. So I can keep that and remove that. Oh, we have that here twice though. Essentially makes sense that setting goals is there. Okay, productive failure. People have complicated relationships with failure. Most of us fear is for ourselves and for our kids, but we also know that kids are supposed to learn from failure. So how do we find the sweet spot? Okay, it's unnecessary. Failing is only productive when two things are true. The person who fails actually learns something from it, is motivated to try again. The failure doesn't permanently close future doors. No one wants our kids to fail out of school, but nor do we want kids who are dependent upon others to search everything for them. Yes. So, changing all parents like being needed by the child, so that the child begins to access the tools and build the skills to direct their own learning. It's completely by their children. As your child begins to access the tools and build the skills to direct their own learning, it completely changes the role of the parent. It can feel uncomfortable that the child knows more than the parent, but it's the best way to prepare a child in time. Each parent will figure out their new place too. So I like this. This is important. Failing so great. This I also like. No, that's not even necessary. There we go. Remove that. So now the question is setting goals. How do we incorporate that? Let's offer little objectivity. There you go. This is the grading class promise of participation in class. For students learning, I don't think this should be a toggle. Self-direction, the fallacy of sink or swim. So we should have let's call this productive failing. Changing roles. Yes, like that. So now setting goals. Reinforce the 5 behaviors often throughout the day. Strategy shifting, challenge seeking, persistence, responding to setbacks, appropriate help seeking. Like I could put this here. Move that. Have it like that. Failing is only productive when 2 things are true. The person who fails actually learns something from it and is motivated to try again. The failure doesn't permanently close future doors. No one wants our kids to fail out of school. No? Reinforce the programs of the day. No, this is too random. Even though I like it, doesn't make sense and I cannot explain it properly in this way. And I feel like it's mentioned somewhere else as well. So, what would it take for students to be so well known by their teachers and mentors? Oh, I like that reflection mentioned. What would it take for students to be so well known by their teachers and mentors during their senior year that writing an original letter of recommendation would be obviously easy? So, this is self-direction, this is mentoring. Advisors give advice, mentors are experienced, trusted guides. All are balanced by gender, race, academics, skill, every group should be thousands of problems. I would really like that. So, actually, I want to stand a little bit. Been sitting too long now. So let's adjust this. There we go. Actually, I thought the green screen. Oh yeah, there. Okay, so. Advisors give advantages. All up. Most importantly, the mentors stay with the group year after year. The mentors, with just 15 and 20 kids on the list, get to know the whole kid, meet them where they are, and help them achieve the goals they've set for them. Pretty good so far. When someone believes in you. Speaking out project. So we've already mentioned this above here. So now, students are required to choose chapter. There is so this needs to be put here, and let's compare that. Choose a use your voice to make a change. Really choose a topic that will take a position. Let's do it like that. The students are required to choose a chapter take a position. No, actually I preferred the previous one. It's more straightforward. So this is kind of so we don't need this anymore. Can someone believe it? Because teachers were both heads, teachers and mentors. They let each role inform the other, making them stronger. When you know kids, when you have a personal relationship, that doesn't make sense. With them, you can create a safe space so they can come to know one another and themselves. I don't like that. When you have a personal relationship with the kids, you create a safe space so they can come to know one another. No, it made sense before, but now it didn't. I also don't want to include it. So this makes more sense above here. Ask questions that provoke the mentee to reflect on what they want, who they are, what they care about, how they feel, and maybe so not because someone told them to do it, but because it's an authentic choice for them. I don't like this one. I want this to be. Why is this still this color? What? Oh, because the block is that color, I think. There you go. Yeah, that's sometimes confusing. So, it is during moments of frustration that learning and growth takes place. So I'd like to highlight that. But it was yellow before, right? How can you use your interest, curiosities, and passion to contribute to your community and better yourself? The final steps of the project were to write to deliver a TED talk. Students tasked us with feedback by using a guide. Also, some of other people's writing to own writing in personal self-reflection. It's a significant part of goal setting, holds a value place in self-life dynamics. here's the self-directed learning cycle. Does this project impact anyone else beside you and in what ways? This looks nice. So asking asking the right questions. Resist interrupting or judging the child and let him come to conclusions and decisions that likely wouldn't have been possible without your presence, but weren't yours. Questions to ask. So essentially now we're talking more of a coaching approach. What do you want from the situation? What emotions do you have? What behaviors are you exhibiting? What is working or not working? Why? Put yourself in the other person's shoes. What do you think their perspective is? What role can you play in getting your desired outcome? Is there anything you need to make the relationship right? Unfortunately, punishment doesn't actually address the relationship problem. It is human to disagree, to become angry, to get hurt, and to hurt others. Wait, why is that question? This would be some, it is hard to learn how to repair relationship ruptures without a mentor to support and guide and to ask questions and hold up a mirror to so self-reflection can take place. Growth is unlikely to occur. Schools have to create community where every relationship matters. That has nothing to do with questions anymore. Deep dive into an area of interest. Let's write like that. Questions with results. Do you like most? And then the closer form conversation come up with a list of Look how nice this looks now. Well, I'm kind of glad that I'm making so many changes, because otherwise I'm like, oh, I haven't really grown in the last 2 years. So I'm much happier with that now. Collaboration. Leave no husky behind. Oh. So, if no one popped anyone else's balloon Jimmy Price, then who would want to figures? Oh, this is very. I want to keep that. Oh. To ensure that every graduate would leave ready for college, ready for career, or ready to live a good life on their own terms. Screw you! Culture is required where I need to rewrite the whole thing. To ensure that every graduate would be ready to live a good life, we need a culture. I don't like that there's like two one another's. Supports one another and views one another. I don't like that. We need a culture where everyone lives together, supports one another, views each other. collaboration, the competitive advantage, like all good simulation lessons and dilemmas surface between trust, collaboration, fairness, and universal. What? Like all good simulations, many lessons and dilemmas surface, including what? Complete international with the competition. That doesn't make any sense. I feel like I left too much out there. Constants versus majority. Somebody earns the value of 30% creating the right I don't you would just have to build a culture where like that doesn't work. Like she gives one example where they like pulled together and like didn't allow for like a majority rule, but I'm not sure if this works throughout the whole organization. Let's drill it like full count consensus better. So let's just project management. This is project management, forming, storming, non-performing. We don't need that. SDP, approach to decision making and problem solving. Why is the next step? Don't start with the next step. Number 1, identify the status. Number 2. Find the ultimate goal. Number 3. Develop goals. That's too specific. Collaboration is bad. But I kind of want to listen to that story. We need to do better explicit about how to work in teams and teach collaboration and skill, not just rather to ways. Most of the tasks are whether group work and the task is sufficiently complex. No other teaching strategies. No, there needs to be that. The task is sufficiently complex, but no adult is teaching and supporting the skills required to work collaboratively. So why leave with that? It's like not a good thing. I don't like the whole collaboration thing. I think there are other books that explain that much better. Think about scratching. So now this hurts because I don't have my notes section up here. Because usually this would still be notes, but when I scratch it, it's not notes. Where are realizing like how long this is ago, and I would like completely do this differently. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I feel like this is gonna be stream until 8 now. The framework identifies building blocks. Faculty, we use the habits of success building blocks to guide us as we look for the issues with consistent feedback, practice, and reflection that develop them over time. By the way, I should probably make this a little bit bigger. Yeah. What if I align this? Oh, Turi didn't let it align. Now I did. Okay. Learning from mistakes. Today, the idea of homework is given way to simply the learner needs to do in order to develop classes and the need. That was not why. What is the purpose of the skill? Just the habit. It certainly was a habit of success. I kind of want to have the notes so I don't delete things probably. Technically everything should be under notes, but now I'm removing this bit. First I need to go to mind. And now I'm unsyncing all and remove this. So now it's not a sync block anymore, we have it there. my issue at the moment is that this is written with this, like in a specific, in a storytelling mode, and the whole holistic pyramid is not. So therefore there's a misalignment. So that's why I'm fixing these things now. Don't need to take the same as a specified day where they just can take it. Take it when he felt ready, and if he didn't succeed, no later. Mastery. Demonstrating mastery of the topic. He had to keep ahead, and he did. Turned out the kids were curious about how to learn as they were about whereas they were. This before was like very well done, but now I feel like there's this kind of all over the place. I'm not sure if like my standards are changing, or I just got sloppy towards the end. Jeez, there's still so much more. So this makes sense. I'd like to include that somehow in here. So when asked students to rank each learning resource must help them master knowledge that we're working on, the mandatory teacher session scored that last. They had to patiently sit through a bunch of stuff they didn't need to get small, but they did. tutoring bar. From mandatory teacher sessions So previously usually here I have to write everything new. Usually teacher that is already known. Have specific questions or stuck on something they don't know. Lesson the teacher. I want to get this down to 5. Most of the students have specific questions studying something they don't know. Instead of offering a lesson, the teachers offer themselves and wait for the students. resource playlist. Playlists. Should have the freedom to choose the resources they want to use. Books, videos, podcasts, online simulation, practice questions. With the playlists, the teachers would cover ground that is already known. Most instances don't know. Instead of there we go. This looks nice. So we have resource playlists, we have tutoring bar, and now we have individual exams. This looks nice now. Look at that. This needs to be technology platform allows students who have done share their work. This is just another step. Kids. So we did end up with 5 points. Okay. Exposure provides a spark of interest. Yeah, I get like really focused in there. So essentially I'm quite happy with how this looks now instead of before. And now it seems to be going better again. So exposure provides a spark of interest. Exposure alone isn't enough though, and we offer opportunities to explore what interests them, which might turn into a passion project. This is okay. Finally, students have opportunities to deeply pursue what they really start to get excited about. Many students have the opportunities to pursue what they are really excited about. Bruh. This pursuit happens during expeditions, therefore connecting to the previous one. That makes sense. Also like this. Students in most science schools have 8 weeks of methods blocked off in 2 weeks chance. But expeditions were before here, right? Projects of direction. I feel like I talked about expeditions before. The expedition team. So here we talk about expeditions. Important and interesting trips to expeditions our students can progress. Those designing their own, some of the offering led by students. Leaders, we give them support. I quite like this, but I want to know where the other expeditions are. I felt like it was under here. Okay, so expedition. There. In Ings. See, this fit perfectly there. I don't want to rewrite all this thing, otherwise I will take like
Je serai le président de tous les Français.
But this is too long. No. To the area of interests. This is too much detail. Okay. This looks much cleaner now. Authenticity makes the difference. When at all possible, we want to expose kids to possible interest in ways that are efficient, but that will also pique their curiosity and motivate them to explore. The key is that we want our kids to explore an authentic curiosity and not manufactured or mundane one, which is an easy trap to fall into when we prepare not for a specific school or job, but for the life we want. We tend to get both acceptance and fulfillment. I think this can be put here, and this would fit nicely. There we go. So so this is very actionable now. Curiosity-driven knowledge. We have the resource playlists. Books, videos, podcasts, and practice questions with provided. Oh, then I cannot write the playlist. And to choose the resource they want to use. One should have the freedom. That is why students get a resource playlist. Already known ground. There we go. Okay. Whew. This is quite. Well, I quite enjoy these. I just feel that I'm kind of drained considering it's like 7:40 p.m. and I'm thinking about doing this more in the mornings in the future. Mm. I'm thinking about completely removing them. So I'm gonna move that into notes. kind of know what is being said here, but it's said too broadly. So I feel like this needs to go there. So the answer was a focus on universal skills. Boom. That we don't need. That we also don't need. So what is best for kids if we have absolutely no constraints? What should we design best for kids? So now my path allows students to decide what they want to do in the future and then show them everything they had to learn in school. My path allowed students to decide what they want to do in the future and then showed how everything they had learned and did in school would get them ready. On one level, it seemed obvious school should prepare kids. School should prepare kids for the future they want. To ensure that every student learn what they need to learn ensure that every student learns what they ensure that every student the answer was 1. How could every student learn what they needed to learn if they all had different aspirations? To ensure that every student learned what they needed to learn despite having different aspirations. The focus needs to be on universal skills. There we go. What's best for kids if we make transparent the universal skills they need to become successful? What? That doesn't make sense. What's best for kids if they... What is best for kids is for us to spend every minute of every day helping them develop and grow those skills. What's best for kids is we make transparent the universal skills they need to become successful. What a weird way to say a sentence. I began to visualize the universe as having success in those Legos. No, I don't need that. I'm gonna remove this. Okay. So universal skills, curiosity-driven successful habits. Be like this. This should be a sub thing. This is smaller than that. This and this or this and this. What happens? This makes more sense for me. Habits of success with universal skills. Habits of just do concrete next step. What's next? Building the next step. Some of that in here. This is not connected to the next step. This is more the trailer, which I'll be reading soon. The thing is, this is technically a different area. Because this is so, you see, this is more in family. Why is it in family? It should be in like important lessons. I guess. So this is kind of like not what is prepared. So this is like separate from the book somehow. I think we remove the why, how, and what. Move this down. Now I moved it out of the thing. Yeah. Okay. So this is curiosity-driven knowledge. Should be under there. All the internet needs help. This is also in family. Oh, I know how to though. So the power of the internet. Are important lessons. So we can do it like that. And then we can still have what was it before? Now I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna look in the in the stream how it was. So we had what is prepared under universal skills. Prepared. Then we had, that's too far. Yeah. Why? Prepare. And then how to repair. And this goes not in there, outside of it. There we go. So boom, 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 boom. Yes. I like this a lot more now. All right. Yeah. Perfect timing. We have 8. So, this was the education stream. It took a bit longer to have everything organized, but that's kind of how it is, and this is how I'm working. And now this is prepared, and this is the resource that I will use to make future content. It was like, okay, I kind of want to like talk more about the education system, and then I can look at this more specifically and get all this information, because I have refined it over time. This will be super valuable, and you, by kind of just like watching me there, are also able to more or less experience that as well, and really get this behind the scenes look on how I'm creating my notes and really going deep. And now, if you haven't watched this live, you can just take a look at the current version of that, on how it's looking now, and with that you can just experience the end product instead of having to go through all the things that were not working all that well in the beginning. So now you get to experience the how I have it at the moment and I'm like really satisfied with. So that's kind of your benefit if you haven't watched it live. And otherwise, next week there will be, like next week in the education stream, I will do something strategic. So I'm thinking about playing Go, but I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I'll do some shifting there, whether I want to keep the strategic club going or not. So this was the book club. I have the area club, and generally these are the things that I'm still trying to figure out. But what is definitely certain on happening is next Thursday will be the D&D stream about the Codex Alera, which is a book series that I absolutely love. It's essentially a combination of Avatar: The Last Airbender with Pokemon and then some Roman battle tactics on top of that, all in a D&D homebrew where I change some of the rules so it's easier to understand for others, but still fun for people who enjoy D&D either way. And I made quite a few changes, and we already had session 0, so we are all set up and done. And the next session is more or less starting with an action scene right away. So do not miss this. It's going to be great fun. And yeah, I hope I see you next Thursday, or otherwise Tuesdays at the education stream. And otherwise, remember to master your body, train your mind, and love your soul. Until next one, bye bye.